All right, hello. My name is Daniel Guys. I'm the creative and technical director at ED Films. For another Watch Me Work live stream. Um, Today we're going to focus on. We're going to try building a rig, a multi-purpose character rig. We're not going to get the whole rig finished today because in one session it takes a long time to build a full rig because we're kind of working it from scratch here. So, um, with that being said, I'm going to show you what the idea behind this rig is. It's something that I'm thinking of putting on our storefront, our ED Films storefront. And the idea behind it is that you have what I'm calling an empty rig. And inside of this, you can draw whatever you want. Well, let's grab just like a drawing brush of some kind that's actually good. Oh, geez. Okay, there's one. So you could draw whatever you want within the boundaries of this guy, whatever it is, right? So you could draw like anything. Here's the elbow. I'll mark out the key places for a joint, but essentially it'll be like a paper puppet. And you can draw whatever you want. You could draw like a big muscly guy, or you could draw like a whatever. You could draw like a little monster. You could draw like a super skinny little person. So the idea is that maybe I'd have a couple of them. One would be really big, so you could take a rotund character, and then perhaps the other one would be like short and squat. Like who knows? But anyways, we're gonna try something out. Hey Pramod, welcome to the stream. Um, okay, so I'm a little bit early. I'm not technically supposed to start until 1 o'clock, but I thought I'd start a little bit early to get heads up on this or head start on it. So what I wanted to do really quick before I get going. So I've already kind of started, and what I've been using is the new Duik Bassel, I guess it's called, or Bassel. I don't know. I don't know what the actual description of it or pronunciation is, but this is the one that Duik did a crowdfund, and this is what they've come up with. I haven't even used it yet. Hey, Pachelovic, 1205, welcome to the stream. I haven't actually even used this yet, so there's a lot of stuff I don't really know or even understand. I haven't read the instruction manual yet or anything. Um, kind of on a store push right now to get some stuff ready for the store, and doing this rig is part of it to see if it's something that's viable. I'm just going to save really quick. So I'll put this in fast draft mode. Now, fast draft tends to be a little bit more real time, but I'm not sure if it works with the. It's not quite, doesn't quite work. The other thing I'm finding is that the puppet tool is a little bit different in the latest version of After Effects. It seems a little bit better in some ways, and you'll see that in just a second as we rig up some more of the joints. So what I've already done so far is I've started adding pins in, just with the puppet tool, and then creating bones using the rigging tools here in the Duik. So here where they have the adding bones down here, and that I've just been doing that for now. They have a lot of cool little features here. I'm not going to get into all of them at the moment because the rigging process for this type of character is a little bit more involved. There's a lot of different moving parts. So that being said, also I want to close this off. I'm sorry, it's a little sloppy. Okay, so that being said, what I'd like to do is the idea behind this is that you can draw anything you want. So I'm just going to draw a really terrible arm of some kind. Something that goes all the way down to the wrist. Great. We'll just do we'll put maybe like a circle on it, maybe like a patch. Okay. Doesn't really matter. Maybe I'll put a little hose in there, like this. Okay. I'm just trying to do something here. I'm trying to see if this will actually work. So in theory, what you're supposed to do with the way, like if you were to, let's say, download one of these empty rigs to build, you would just have to make sure that you draw within the boundaries of the guide. If you go outside the guide, obviously it'll be chopped off. But if you draw within the boundaries of the guide, you should be okay, and the character should use whatever rig we've built and animate with it. So I'm going to include a breathing rig, a breathing apparatus, not apparatus, but a breathing controller, various like automatic animation stuff, things like that. So the stuff that I usually use for everything. And we're going to see how this actually behaves. I imagine this probably won't look too good, but we'll see. So if I just go save right now and I go back into After Effects, what should happen is we should get an arm in there. Okay, and I'm finding, yeah, the arm pieces, when they import, they seem to import off the grid a little bit, but I can just drag and drop them in. I'm not sure how to automate that process even more. I was kind of hoping they would just like drop in where they need to be, but the thing is that they won't if you don't have something already saved on the layer, because the layers are empty at the moment. But the goal behind this is like, let's just make it so I could do a whole bunch of different arms. So maybe since we've got this arm going, maybe we can just rig up this arm really quick and make sure it all works. So let's just turn all these guys off. So I have, it's kind of a complex arm. These are my wrist. So this is all my arm stuff. These are my other joints. I want to change the color of this. Well, we'll keep this part blue, but I'm going to change the pin colors because they're a little bit difficult to get around. So the other thing that Duik has now, this Bassel version, is that you control the look of the pins here. Hey everyone, hey Siraj and Hero Studio, welcome to the stream. You can change the size of the pin in this effect here. You don't have to. So you see, you can change the size, and maybe I'll change the color to be just a little more of a desaturated lighter blue for the hands, and then you just copy this effect. There might be a better way to do this. I don't really know. I've only just started using this new plugin. Anyways, you paste it like that, and there you go. Now I won't be confused by what my pins are. Seems to work pretty well. Okay, so let's do a quick and basic rig. I'm just going to save this, and then I want to just create some null objects. I could create bones, but I'm fine using null objects for now. I feel like they're pretty light. So I want one for the shoulder. We're going to call this shoulder left. And then we'll do one for the elbow. And that'll be there. Oops. Okay, so that's elbow left. For any of you who have done rigging, you've seen this all before a million times, I'm sure. Okay, and then we'll do the wrist. Wrist left, okay. And we'll just drop it down in here where the wrist is. So I'm trying to centralize the rotation points so that you have to make sure that if you're going to do one of these characters, that you draw your wrist or whatever your overlap is exactly where it should be. So in the actual template, I will put dots in little circles that show you where your joints need to be so that everything lines up properly. Okay, and then I'm not going to worry about, so we have the wrist, that's all good. We can probably just link these three together as they are. Elbow and shoulder. I might just throw a clavicle in there just so we can see the general behavior. So we'll just duplicate one more. Although, I have not used this again at all. So this new version. So I'm not sure what will happen here. Okay. So that'll end up being the hand controller. Whoops. The hand controller should end up being here for the wrist, and then we have the elbow, and then the shoulder. And I will end up putting multiple shoulder rotators and stuff like that. But let's just try and see what happens if we rig all these together. We try to do let's do a connector. Let's see. So arm or front leg. Okay, let's click this. I don't really know what it's doing. Oh, what is this? Oh, it's a structure. Oh, I've never used these before. So I guess with these, we can probably just... oh, cool. We don't need to do all these bones. Let's see what happens here. I've never used this before. So I've just created a structure, and it looks like this is a way to position bones and stuff without having to build null objects to connect them to. Now, hopefully this doesn't mess up my process completely, but we'll see. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll change everything. Change is always good. So that's, I'm assuming, the tip of the fingers. Okay. Oh, here you've done a bunch. That's, oh, structures drive the animation. Okay. Do they? Um, that's interesting. Okay. So the structures are sort of like animation tools. And then what do? Do you parent your pins to it or something? Because this seems like that's interesting. Okay, so we're in rigging mode, but then how do you All right, we're gonna get our head around this. Sorry, I'm still learning this. Display options. Because right now it definitely doesn't have an IK system in it. It's all just stretchy, and I feel like it's like 3D. Okay. Can I add oh, okay. It seems it's a little, yeah, it's a little weird. I'm not sure for sure what I'm doing yet, but we're gonna figure it out. Maybe if we take this thing and do auto rig. Okay. So I think we've just hopefully auto rigged the structure. All right. That's interesting. Okay, so I suppose I'm just going to take a look at some of these things because I'm not 100% sure if I look at the values of these guys if I'm going to be able to edit them. That's my real concern is I've never used structures before and my concern is like are they just shapes? And it looks like they are and they still hold all the same kind of math as the old ones. Okay. So essentially what we've just learned or what I've just learned is that you create a structure. You don't have to, but you can create a structure, and then that structure can be what you hang everything onto, and then you have to auto rig the structure. Although because I used a structure, I didn't get a clavicle, which I imagine you can add to in a little bit. But let's try to, I guess, let's parent our pins to it and see what happens. So we'll do wrist front and back. I suppose we'll parent it to the, I think I put the actual wrist connection too low. Okay, we'll just parent this to the hand. And then the elbow will parent to the forearm, I guess. Oh no, we'll parent it to the arm. Shoulder, front, and back will parent to the arm. Hand. So we have the hand, wrist, front and back will parent to, I guess we'll just for now parent it to the hand structure. And then we have wrist, oh no. Let's parent this to the forearm. This is a little weird. And then wrist B will parent to the hand. And then this little tip piece will parent to, again, the hand. Or we could do arm tip, I suppose. Hey, Spunrita. Oh, I parented the because I was going the reason I parented the null to the clavicle for these guys. Well, actually, I don't know why. Yeah, this guy should be parented because I was going to have a clavicle. The clavicle is the point at which, well, you guys maybe already know this, and maybe I'm using the wrong word, but the shoulder rotates off of that, so that you can get traveling around the shoulder, so that it moves and rotates around as the arm moves, because your arm doesn't just like stay in one spot. You know, when you reach forward, your whole shoulder comes forward. Anyways, let's just see what happens here. Kind of nervous. Okay. I mean, it looks horrible, but it's working. So I guess like I'm curious about how the rotations translate. So if I take this guy and I rotate the wrist. Okay. I mean, it's working. So normally what I usually do is I'll take like another wrist controller and I'll put something on it to make it so that it doesn't rotate so much, that it only rotates half as much as the main wrist. I'm just not sure. We're gonna find out real quick how this works. So if I grab this hand, I go here. What is the wrist's rotation? Is -79. Okay, so I'm just going to do this really quick. I'm going to duplicate this. I normally do stuff like this, but I've never worked with this particular version. So let's parent this to the hand, I suppose. And then we're going to take its rotation. Actually, we'll parent it to the forearm, and we'll get its rotation to be this, I don't know, divided by 2 or something. Or we'll just go times 0.5. So what that should do is whenever, sorry guys, I'm a little scattered at the moment. Whenever this hand rotates here, our little guy should rotate but half as much. Okay, so okay, Spunrita, cool. But in your head, the elbow goes to the shoulder, then the shoulder to the... Oh, you're right. I just parented it wrong. I probably parented it wrong. Sorry. It should go shoulder, clavicle, elbow. Yeah, sorry, that's my bad. You're right. You're right. Sorry. Thank you for pointing that out. That's a dumb mistake. Okay. Okay. So now that we have this like half rotator, I'm going to try to parent wrist front and back to it. And what this should do is it should make it rotate less. Unless the math is crazy, which we've run into before. Whoops, let's lock this background. Okay, so if I go like this. Okay, it's working, I think. All right, it still looks really bad, but that's because we haven't used any stiffening stuff yet. So we have this like rotator A1, so let's do and this is just an experiment. Like it's a little sloppy, I admittedly. So we'll leave those ones. Let's put these ones to the same thing. So technically, what we'll want to do is if we want to rotate the hand. Why isn't that working? Oh, it's because it's rigged. Guide things are kind of weird. I'm not sure if I'm into them or not. Okay, so you see we're getting a little less madness going on. Okay. Let's check our rotation is 0. Okay, sorry guys, I'm trying to read the questions or comments. Okay, so next. Let's go up here. We'll try this again. Okay, so let's just add some stiffening to this thing really quickly. Again, I'm just trying to get my head around the idea or the concept of this. Okay, so we have this thing. And let's go with the puppet. We'll just add some starch, I suppose. Do they still have starch? Yes. Doesn't seem that they have an overlap tool anymore. I've never used this version of After Effects. I had to hold off on After Effects for the new version for a while because... Okay, oh, weird. Oh, that's a starch pin. Don't I already have... This comes off as a second pin. I'm not sure. I've never used this before, so let's... It's weird. Okay. I want it to be starch. Seems to be adding more little details. I wonder if it says it created a second puppet tool. That's weird. I'm not... Okay, does anyone know about this stuff yet? What is the new pin? What are the new pins? I don't really understand. I guess I've never used them before, really. So if we have this puppet mesh, I guess we're doing some learning here today. Let's turn this on. I want to see my... All right. So if I have this puppet mesh here, I guess I can't just add starch to it? On the effect panel, you have puppet engine. Oh, I see. Is that going to just break everything, though, that I've done? Oh, interesting. I see. I've never done that before. Cool. Okay. Well, I want to try these. I want to try these little starch pins and see what they do. I've not used them before. What does it even do? Okay. Well, let's just put one in here and one here. I'm not quite sure how they're supposed to work because they don't, as you guys probably know, they don't give you any kind of clear radius or anything. I can't really see what they're doing. But do they do anything? Sort of, maybe? I'm going to play with this a little bit, since I've never used it before. Let's go like this. We have it bent already. So let's have a look if I go... What is that? Oh, that's snapping. So we go to the puppet. Let's add starch again. What does this even do? Huh. Interesting. I mean, I'm not sure how I would get like really nice sharp overlaps. Like it seems like it would be good for, oh, that kind of works, I guess. I sort of see how this works. It's almost like cloth. If you were to, uh-oh. I wonder if this zeroes out. Probably not. I bet if I put zero, it's going to go to space. Oh, jeez. Okay. I should have keyframed this hand. Anyways, we're just experimenting anyways. Doesn't matter. I don't think I want to use these structure things. I find them a little bit distracting, to be honest. I suppose they're probably good for if you're a bit new at it, but I don't... Okay, so then I'm getting a nice overlap there. Okay, it's sort of working. It's pretty mushy. It's a little mushy. Okay, stiffness is here. What does that even mean? There's no thing for it. It's weird that these are all under puppet pin 1, but these all have individual puppet pins. Can they not go inside of here? No, I guess not. I don't see any starch settings. I'm looking. All I see is a thing that says the pin type, which is starch. And then there's a stiffness, but I don't actually see anything for that stiffness. It just says stiffness. Let's put this down to 6 and see if this breaks everything. Interesting. I'm definitely not quite sure how this works. Let's put a couple of starches here and maybe one here. Okay. And maybe another one in the middle. And another one there. I suppose maybe we can delete that one. No. I guess I'm certainly not quite sure about how this works. I suppose you just put them everywhere? I don't know. I feel like the mesh will get pretty dense, but... it's sort of... I mean, it's not horrible. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to think of it right now. It's an interesting change. I might just re-puppet pin it, although I don't really want to have to, like... redo all those. I might just reload the scene because I haven't saved. I mean, it's sort of working. I don't. Let's try. Okay, so I'm gonna open the scene again, just from scratch. Yeah, you're probably right. So I'll probably I guess I have to puppet pin it all over again, which sucks. That really sucks. Okay, so we will legacy. Maybe it'll transfer over. Let's grab one of these guys. Let's grab one of these pins here and see. Oh, that one's still using the old one. Okay. All right. It looks like it kind of worked. So let's see what our triangle count is. We want to be in puppet pin land. Why can't I see the... I want to show the mesh, but I don't see anything at the moment. Let's go to 100. Maybe that'll show us the mesh. There we go. Okay, so this is definitely more familiar. Okay, so let's try using our old-fashioned starching, and then we'll try to do the rig again, and see how that works. But this is definitely more familiar. Okay, yeah, you can just turn them on and off. Yeah, the structures, cool. Yeah, I'm just not sure if like I really need them, but I'm not sure. Do they add, does anyone know? Do they add anything to the whole process? Do you find like does it um I don't know, like do you guys like, do you guys use the structures? Do you like them? I don't dislike them. I just don't know, I don't really know yet the best way to work with them. Because for me, they are, I guess the two things I have a concern, not a concern about, but the two things that are standing out a little bit with this version, Bassel or whatever it um, is that there's a lot of extra stuff going on. So there's a lot of like what would you call it? Shapes being generated, objects and things like that going on that are creating iconography that is good to recognize. Um, okay, so it names everything. I see. Okay, okay, okay. So that probably helps the rigging process then. All right, well, we'll try it with structures. We'll just try with structures and see how it goes. So we'll go back to structures and we will do an arm or a front leg. What does that do? Oh, here we go. Shoulder. So that'll give us our clavicle, I suppose. Okay, so I just went into the settings. We can go back. So I didn't realize there's. So we'll make this bonk. See where that goes. It's making all their shapes. It's drawing everything. Okay, so now everything's named. There's our shoulder, which I'm assuming is kind of actually more of what we would be calling our clavicle. That goes here. So maybe we'll turn on the torso for a bit so we can see what we're doing. And we'll kind of assume that the clavicle will rotate from around here somewhere. Okay, and then we'll put this here. This is probably way easier to use structures for sure. Okay. We'll put this one. Well, this technically, the wrist should be, why aren't you moving? The wrist should be here. Technically, my drawing's wrong, but it should be there. And the rest of the wrist should be for filling in the blanks. Oh no, I grabbed the wrong thing. Sorry guys. Okay. So we'll put this on just the tip of the hand. We'll put it here, I guess. Okay. All right. Maybe I'll just give this elbow a slight bend to it. So we get the right IK solve. Okay. Let's do this again. All right. So I guess we don't really need, these are all our pins. That's fine. This will lock for now. And then let's just rig this arm again. We're going to save this as a different file. We'll call it experiments. Yeah, I kind of see the reason for them. I've done them before. That's why I would always use null objects in the past, is that they were things I could attach the artwork to. So this is they're kind of doing what I was doing anyway, which is great. And plus, you're right, everything is named, except it doesn't say whether the shoulder's left or right. I guess I name it after. Or maybe there's got to be a renaming option in here somewhere. All right, and I guess I could just create a humanoid. Oh, we're just going to do the arm for now because I just want to see. We want to see how it works. Okay, so let's do this again. So let's take these two pins here. Bonk. So this one and this one. And I should stack these a little bit better. This is the wrist, and then we have the elbow here in the middle. So let's take these two, and we will attach, we'll parent them. We don't need these track mats visible. We will parent them to the actual arm, because we want it to follow the arm. And then the elbow, we will also parent to the arm, because we want it to follow this bone, the orange bone around. So wrist, front, and back, we will parent to the forearm, because we want it to follow that bone. And then wrist B, I think wrist B, and I guess we could parent to the hand, I suppose, but we're actually going to parent that to a rotator, I think, when we actually do this for real. Okay, and then we've got the hand here. Oh, that is the hand. Okay, so wrist B, that is the hand. Wrist, front, and back, those will be parented to the kind of buffered wrist rotator thing. So arm tip. Okay. Yeah, I kind of gathered that. Thanks for sharing so much information, Hero. Okay, so we've got that. Let's just make sure this is zeroed. And before, okay, so looks like, okay, we've got our general forward kinematics is working. If we just play with this, it looks fine. Okay, so the one thing I want to add really quick is I want to do my little counter wrist rotator. So I'm going to create a little wrist rotator thing. Null object. We're just going to use a null object. And that'll be my counter rotator for the wrist. And I think what we could probably do, I'll see, I'm not sure how this will work. We could probably parent this to the hand really quickly. Go position and go 0 and 0. I would assume, yeah, that it'll center right on it. And then if we want, we can unparent it. I'm going to put this up. I'll put it down. I'll put it up here. The order's a little weird for me. Usually I go top down. Like I usually go shoulder, arm, forearm, hand, and arm tip. Okay. So this null object, we're going to call it wrist ROT. And we'll call it A because sometimes I have more than one. You shouldn't be in doubt. You know what you're doing. I haven't done an After Effects rig for a while. Okay, let's parent this guy to the forearm, and we're going to get its rotation to keep an eye on the hand, its rotation. And we're just going to tell it to, oh, weird. That's interesting. Oh, it's got like a little R. Okay, no, that's me. I did that. I'm in. All right, let's do this again. I'm just going to pick up this. We're going to keep an eye on the rotation, and we'll just like times it by 0.5. In the actual rig, when I do it, I'll have like a little slider or something that buffers that. Oh, we've got an expression error somewhere. I feel like I accidentally poked an expression on something. Yeah, I did. So I'll click that off. Okay. Okay, so that's going to watch the wrist. That's fine. This should be parented to the arm, the forearm, because we want it to follow the forearm around. So let's have a look at this. Doot, doot, great. And when the hand rotates, this should only rotate half as much, which it seems to be doing, which is good. So now what we'll do is I guess we can build our little IK or FK. Oh, actually, I want to build a shoulder rotator too. So we're going to duplicate this one more time. This time we'll parent it to the arm, I think, and then we will put its position to 0 and 0. Okay, and then we'll parent this to the clavicle. Or I guess they call it the shoulder, there. And we will call this shoulder, ROTA. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing on this one. We're going to watch, we'll see if this works. This may not work. We're going to watch the, oh no, it already has a value on it. Oh, right. We're going to watch the rotation of the arm, not the shoulder. It's a little confusing because they mean the bone, not the joint. So we're going to watch the rotation of the arm here. Transform.rotation. And we'll do the same thing times 0.5, or it'll probably be even less of that or something. So now this one, when this arm rotates, it should also only rotate half as much. But it doesn't seem to be doing anything at the moment. Let's see. I might be watching the wrong thing. Oh, I'm looking at wrist. Whoops, sorry, my bad. Man, I'm just like sloppy today. Thank you for your patience. How do you make that sign? S shoulder. I guess it's just S, that S dash arm thing. Okay. S. It looks like a space. I've never done these symbols very often. Arm. Does that work? Looks like it might work. Let's try it. Okay, yeah, it's rotating. It's just rotating a bit. So that should be okay. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. So now let's take the, it's all parented, everything looks okay. Maybe let's do an auto rig now of this guy right here. So we'll go here and we'll go auto rig, and let's just see what the laps are. Auto rig, prefer FK overlap. What does that mean even? Interesting. Prefer FK overlap. I've never done that before. I'm not quite sure what that means. Okay, looks like it's done its little solve. Let's have a look. Okay. Are we getting much translation of the shoulder? Yeah, there's a little bit of movement in the clavicle, just a touch. So the shoulder position we've got set to auto. Let's put it to 10%. This will mean, I believe it'll mean that the shoulder actually moves a little bit. 0. Let me just see. Oh yeah, let's do one other thing too. Let's keyframe the position of this controller here so that if we mess it up, we can get back real easy. Spenrita, this is what I'm experimenting with, is I'm trying to make it so that we can create what I'm calling like an empty rig, which allows us to use artwork and stick it inside. So you can do a custom drawing. Okay, you'll have a C controller. Right, I got it. Right, got it. Yeah. Anyway, so this is what we're experimenting with right now. It may or may not work, because the thing we do next is like once we get the basics of it working the way we want, which is working pretty good. This bend isn't very nice in here. It's kind of a mess. But once we get it working the way we want, then the idea is that we should be able to shut off, if we go into this group, turn off the guide, and because of the way the puppet tool works, oops, we should be able to move this around. Yeah, there you go. And have your artwork hold together. See, without the guide. So that technically means, I mean, there's a little bit of stuff I have to figure out here, but technically it means I could add any kind of artwork in there. So like, and this I thought of this because I was doing a lesson. Um, I was teaching a little class at a school, and I one at Vancouver Film School, and another one at I can't remember of at Concordia in Montreal. And what I found is that a lot of people wanted to learn rigging, but they were really scared of it, and they wanted to try for their film projects, but it was too much work for them. It was too much learning for them to do in such a short period of time. So what we ended up, so I thought of is like, well, why don't I just give them a few empty rigs that they can use? This is all the mixer brushes. I don't want mixer brushes. Anyways, I figured if I gave them empty rigs, they could draw whatever they wanted inside. Like you could have like a little skeleton or a lumpy weird thing. I'm just going to try to make a kind of a mess in here and see what it does. Right, let's just do this. So my hope is that if these work, I can kind of just sell make really affordable rig templates for people that they can just kind of do whatever they want and sort of just fill them in. And then, because and then, if people like them and they work, then we would do like dogs and cats and, critters of all kinds, skinny animals, fat animals, skinny people, fat people, skeleton people, whatever. Okay, so, and as long as the naming's the same, so even if we, let's say, get rid of this and we delete this layer, I mean, the idea is there's actually a template that you draw in, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. But so if we save this, what we should get. Oh yeah, no, the little cardboard guy is ours. It's my guy that I've been working on, and it's so that people can draw inside of it. The Bassel stuff is new to me. Like this original idea. I was just going to use the regular Duik rigs, but here I'm just trying to see if you could put any kind of artwork inside of that, right, and actually have it work. And it seems to work okay because once you have the template, it's all good. So I guess we could just gonna try one last thing. I'm going to draw a feather arm and see how that looks. I'm gonna grab like a. We'll just do an art marker. Great. So now we'll do this like feathery feather arm. No name. I haven't thought of a name. If you want to give the character a name, you are more than welcome, and I will happily adopt it. Okay, so there's a furry arm. And I haven't painted any texture underneath. Maybe I'll do that really quick here. We'll just paint like I'm doing everything black and white. So actually, let's just make it some kind of crazy color, like this. My next thing too is to see, it's one of the things I need to figure out is if I can add some custom stuff to the Duik rigs that allow me to dynamically reposition the shoulders and things like that. So if you're finding the character's arms aren't working the way you want, that you can adjust the shoulders and things. That'll be the next thing to figure out before we go too public with everything. Okay, let's get this a little. Hansel is already it is already taken. Whatever happened to that guy? Okay, so I'm just going to take this and I'm going to control click it. And I'll just fill this in a different color really quick. So let me just turn this off and we'll just add a new one. Dark color, full power. A little more painterly, I suppose. Okay, so we have a fur arm there. We'll just merge it all together. Okay, so they did that. Now we'll go back in here and see what happens. Doesn't seem to be. Oh, something's happening. There it goes. It loaded in. Okay, so that's interesting. The only thing I want to check, one last thing, is what a skinny arm looks like. Because the chubby arm, the fuller arm looks good. The only thing I'm not liking is the overlap. I'm going to have to figure out the best way to deal with the starching so that people don't have to do too much of it. But I think we can probably just play with it a little bit here. Arm group. Effects, okay. So I'm going to check the... Oh, crazy. Puppet, there we are. It's getting very full. Mesh. Stiffness. Sorry, just everything is so deep and buried. I think I want to pull this off a little bit. So the arm rotates a little bit nicer. Holds volume there. Probably need like a little bit of a higher count, mesh count for it. Let's see if we can do that. Sometimes this wrecks everything. And everything just disappears unless they fix that bug. That looks better. Okay, cool. So I think that's kind of working. I'm sorry this is a little bit all over the map as far as what we're doing. I'm trying to experiment with this and get this sorted out so I can actually get these empty rigs finished. Because I think it would help me too because I always have to re-rig everything. So if I'm just doing like a humanoid character, then it would be really helpful just to be able to draw inside of my guidelines, or even that way I could have an intern help me on something for a change, which would be super sweet. Okay, so let's just put this back to where it was. So I think the concept is sort of working. I think one of the hand pins aren't actually following anybody. Yeah, here we are. Wrist front and back, those are going to go onto the wrist rotation. So when we rotate our hand, we get a slight change. It'll be barely noticeable. And let's turn off these guys. Can we make the structure visible or not visible? No, it doesn't look like icon, controller, anchor, arm, side. Arm is the left. Okay, so we can just turn these guys off. We certainly don't need to look at them. And have a look at how it's going. Yeah, Pajalovic, elbow overlapping is tough. And one thing I guess like I recommend. So this one I feel like is working pretty good. Like you see, we're getting a nice line in there that helps define the arm here. And usually I can get something working. It's just a matter of getting your starch in the right place. So when we're looking at the actual puppet, if we can make it happen here, if it will choose to show us the puppet. You want to leave a space in there so that the geometry can collapse a little bit, and you want to adjust these. Obviously, move those pins around as you already know. I mean, I'm telling you guys obvious things here, but one way to do it, which I think I just showed you, but is if you bend it, it's to adjust your pins while it's already bent. That's why you want to do this keyframe thing here, where you've keyed a 0 position. And here, usually if you're in 3D, it's easy to make a 0 position by freezing the transforms, but here you can't do it the same way. But in here, what I can do is I can at least adjust the starch real time. So I can just move these around until I'm getting the kind of deformation that I want. So, and by doing this, it'll kind of adjust and change things, as you'll see. And that to me is the best way to do it. It's similar to weight painting in 3D, because in 3D, when we're doing weight painting, usually you'll pose the character in a very extreme position, and then you'll adjust the way the skin is supposed to bend, and that gives you the best results. So you want to just put your character in the position that you want, and then adjust your pins, and then you can just put it back to frame 0, and everything's fine, and you can just delete that frame off there. Anyways, so that's that. Okay, so all this being said, I feel like we've learned a little bit so far. I think we can move into doing the rest of the rig. I'm kind of excited about this idea of the empty. Did they have the stretchy arm? Yes, they do. Okay. Oh, interesting. There's like an icon that appears when you've stretched the arm. Down there, it's a little red line. Maybe that means that you've locked the elbow, or the IK is completely straight. Cool. Okay. Neat. All right. So, I guess what I can do is I guess we can just keep rigging. I think the experiment in general has worked. Maybe I'll just draw a hand really quickly to go with this. So the idea behind this as well is that if you had opacity 0, shift 50 for flow. No, shift 0, 50. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the idea here too is if you have, you would have the ability to make multiple hands. I might, I don't know. I'm trying to get all my rigging stuff up on the store for, obviously for super cheap and whatever I can do to help support the studio. But so that you guys have like reference for things and things that you can just buy, like a really good hand rig and stuff like that. Things that just make it a lot easier just to get going. But I did hear, and I'm interested if anyone has feedback, I did hear that, and it makes sense, that students mostly really just, they want to learn how to do it. They're not really that interested in buying stuff, which I get, I totally get it. I was a student too, and I didn't really have, a whole bunch of extra money floating. Well, I wasn't a student, but I mean, I was definitely not wealthy. So I get not wanting to buy things, but it is something we're just looking at. So if there are ideas or things you want. All right. Okay, here we go. Making a hand. Don't want to get too crazy. Let's just turn this arm off for a second. Excuse me, sorry. Okay. There we go. And now let's just make it a little bit furry. It's a man in a suit. Or a person in a suit. One of my least favorite kinds of animations where it looks like a person's just wearing a suit. Kind of like Monsters Inc. Like it just kind of looked like the guys were all wearing suits. At least Sully, anyways. Not all the monsters, of course. Beautifully animated movie. Not criticizing it. I really love that movie. Did anyone see Monsters University? Was it any good? I haven't seen it yet. Okay. I think too, I'm just going to turn off this transparency thing. One of the things that's cool is because we've rigged everything already inside of this bauble thing, if we add new kind of furs and stuff to this guy and we go out a little bit, our alpha map's crazy. It's not going to wreck everything. Okay, cool. Let's turn this on. Great. I don't think that's going to blend very well. That's all right. Okay, so we'll save this. It's good. I haven't seen it. Did you guys see the what was it? Coco? Was it Coco? It looked really beautiful. Actually, since you guys are here, have you guys heard of the game? I'm totally sidetracking, but it's super beautiful. I'm really excited about it. What is it called? It's like a 2D. It's a 2D. What is it? You guys loved Coco. It was beautiful. I actually teared up at the end. To be, I don't usually tear up too much at films. Um, but I was trying to hide myself from Emily and Elia to. I didn't want them to know that I was crying a little bit. So, anyways, so let's go here. Alto's Odyssey. What is Alto's Odyssey? What is that a new game? I'm just trying to find my history because I have a playlist where oh, here it is. I think I put it under inspiration. Here it is. I'm gonna see if I can find it. Oh yeah, this one. I don't know if I can show a trailer, but I will put. I don't know if I can actually put links in here either. Maybe I'll try and see. Um, it's called Gris or Gris. I don't know. It's a French, or maybe it was done in Spain. I can't remember who made it, but I think it's absolutely beautiful. It's a really cool game. It's making a lot of waves. Um, Alto's Odyssey. Okay, I'm just gonna look this up really quick. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this in streams. Whoa, this looks cool. Is this a Switch title? Wow, I like the look of it. Thanks for sharing that. I'm gonna just bookmark that. It is very pretty. There's a couple of really good lists on YouTube if you look up like some of the new indie titles coming out. There's some really beautiful games coming out that are becoming quite artistic. The one I was just looking at was this one. It's a really nice mix of 2D artwork and kind of like just hand drawn flat layers and parallax with limited parallax. It's really quite it's also quite flat, but I think it's very beautiful, and I really like the mix of hand drawn animation on top of the sort of flat stylistic illustrated cutouts. I mean, you guys should check out the trailer for this game because it's really amazing. But I'll stop doing this now. Sorry, sidetrack. Okay, cool. Let's go back into After Effects. And what should happen, if all goes well, is we should get an update, I think, of the hand, unless I've got the... Oh, we might have to put the hand in here. It might have be off to the side somewhere. Oh, it's not coming in for some reason. Let's just purge. Maybe it's... There it is. Unfortunately, you seem to have to move the pieces in manually. That's a little bit annoying. I have to figure out if there's a way around that. Okay, so there's the hand. Put this up to full. And we'll just turn this off. There. Yeah, it's Spain, right? Yeah, it's a Spanish studio. Have you guys? I was actually looking at wanting to move into just promote on what you're saying. I was looking at taking some watercolor courses, because I've always been a little bit like really intimidated by watercolor. But I went to this website, which I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of before. It's called Schoolism, and it actually seems pretty good. Okay, for some reason, oh, I know what's happening. This wrist rotator is rotating. Let's put this, make sure this hand's at 0. I don't think this hand's at 0. Is it at 0? I think it seems a little bit weird. Oh, that's why. Okay. So, spare with me for 1 second. I just want it when the hand rotates. I don't think my wrists, these guys are parented properly. Wrist front and back. They need to be linked to the wrist rotator A. Because what I want is when I'm rotating my hand, I get a slight rotation in the wrist, right? That looks pretty good. Cool. That seems to be working. Let's pull it around and see. So, I mean, for anyone that's been following my tutorials or my work in the past, you kind of know already. I like to create these secondary rotator things to help make things feel more alive. So you'll notice that because the wrist is rotating, I'm getting a little bit of a physical change in the arm, but it's not as dramatic as though it were stuck right on. And we could always reduce this value here, which we'll do in a slider. I'll put a slider for that later, but we could put it to 0.25. And then that way it's even less dramatic. So if it feels like it's moving too much, that feels a little bit better to me already. So normally what I do with this is I would create like on the hand controller, I would create like a wrist modifier slider or something like that. Yeah, it's been read. It's with Bobby Chu. And really good. Like I really I really enjoy the courses. I'm just double checking. I'm not sure if. Okay, great. So let's. Not sure. I think we can kind of move on. I think I think this is working, and I'm not so. I'm kind of into the structures now. So we've only been doing this for a little while, and I'm pretty happy with how it's working. We definitely got away from. Oh, Spun I don't think he does watercolor, but just bear with me for 1 second. We're just going to again sidetrack because we're about to move on into a different rigging thing anyway. I'm just signing into my Schoolism account. I just got it. I just signed up yesterday. I got a course before. Just bear with me for 1 second. I'm just logging in. Okay, here we are. So right now I'm in this. I was just looking at this course for realistic portraits because I can never really figure out what the what the best colors are to start with for when you're painting faces. But yeah, so it's not just Bobby Chu. It's not most. He doesn't do most of the courses. He actually only has a couple, and he does the painting creatures and digital painting. I think there's a couple more, but there's some really high profile courses here, and I'm paying like $30 a month. I didn't buy the year long. I just bought per month because I got rid of my digital tutors membership and switched over to this for a while. But they have a fundamentals. I think it's fundamentals on watercolor. If I know I was just looking at it or something about yeah. So they have landscape sketching in watercolor and gouache, which I've never done before. And then they have another one. I know they have another one in watercolor. Oh yeah, watercolor fundamentals. And then they also have a really good one by these guys. And I don't know if these guys are included in the membership or not, but it's painting with light and color with the guys from what's it called? That little studio. I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember Tonko House or Tonko House. Those guys who created the little Dam Keeper film. They do a really apparently it's an amazing session. So, anyways, there's some good courses there. I'm just giving them a little plug, I suppose. But yeah, great. I'm really enjoying the quality so far. The Bobby Chu course I took was really good, and it even gives you little. Is it? Yeah, Taco House. They're great. They're great. I agree. Anyways, it gives you a little assignments and stuff too. So it's not quite just like a tutorial. It also gives you a little bit more meat, a little bit more stuff to work with. Okay, cool. So I feel like this is working. I want to test one last thing really quick, so we've done this guy's arm. I'm going to get rid of this monster arm, and probably I want to try like a really well. Let's just leave it because it kind of looks cool for now. Yeah, free advertisement. Yeah, I mean, which would be there's only a few of us here, so um, for what it's worth, I suppose. Okay, So let's figure out the rest of this guy. So we did the arm and it's all working. We've got a clavicle and I've already started, like I was saying, I rigged up the neck. Well, I didn't rig up the neck. I've just put pins in. But you know what I'm going to have to do, which is super annoying, is I have to put all of these to legacy. But the nice thing is at least I don't lose my. It seems to be able to manage the legacy switching over okay. So we're in advanced. We'll go to legacy and see what kind of horror that causes. Hopefully none. Try to select these pins here. I haven't gone in and tweaked everything here. Okay, so it's still working. All right, that's good. So I've switched the neck over to legacy. The head, I didn't put anything, no puppet pins on the head. I'm thinking of putting in like a little one of those 2.5D heads, like the ones that you can rotate a little bit as a demo, so that people can see how it's done, without using joysticks and sliders, which is really a great plugin. Sure. Oh, like I'll show my assignment that I did, or see them. I can show you theirs. I can't. I don't have. I'm not on the computer that I use to do my classes on. But let me just pull it up here. So I'll just show you on the one course that I'm signed into right now, which is the portraiture one. Portrait. Where are we? Okay, so I go to I think I go to the dashboard. I can't remember. Oh, there's my course. So essentially, you watch the lesson, and it has a number of different parts you go through. And I don't want to like, and then you go to your assignment. And it's pretty straightforward. And they will actually, if you are signed up to the live feedback one, they will actually give you feedback and critique your work. So the Bobby Chu assignments were a little more specific than this. Oh, here we go. This one's a lot more 25 to 30 eyes using these techniques. Like, see, this stuff is really important. This is really, what is it called? Like focused learning. And I can't remember the word for this, is where you actually, it's one of the best ways to learn. It's where you actually go straight in, like you actually learn the, what is it called? You do the same thing over and over again with a very specific goal. So yeah, no, don't worry, Pramod. I wouldn't show the lessons. That would be awful. That'd be terrible of me. But anyways, so each course has an assignment at the end that gives you some pretty good structure to follow some of what you learned with. So Hero, I want to see some. I'm going to check out some of your tutorials. Thanks for putting those out there into the world. That's amazing. I saw, because I see that there's these connector things here. Or not connect. Are they connectors? Where you actually put the two. Oh yeah, I'm just doing a tutorial. I'll be back. I'll be done in a bit. I'm just about finished. Okay, I'm not. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Sorry, guys. Anyways, yeah, I saw that you could do where you connect links to things to different compositions. So that's really cool. I really like the idea of that. Anyways, I'm really excited to play with some of those because I think those will be handy when I'm creating some of the breath sliders and stuff like that, or the controllers, so we can actually easily connect different properties together. So, okay, so what do we have here? The next thing to rig up is I got to pin the other arm. So let's just do that really quick. The arm right. Okay, so I'll turn these guys off for now. So with the arms, when I'm doing the pins on these guys, we'll go here. Let's just do the puppet pins. With these guys, I'm doing them on the corners. So these corners of the shoulder are so that I can counter rotate the shoulder so that it doesn't over rotate. And then here, and then up here at the wrist, we put 2. Again, this is so that I can offset the rotation. If I just put 1, I can't control how much this end rotates, right? So if I put 2, I can actually change how much the this wrist can rotate depending on what the hand is doing. Mm-mm-mm. Who's recording on Instagram? Is that what you mean? What do you mean? Who's recording on Insta? Or is I'm sorry if I'm misunderstanding. I'm not sure what you're saying there. Okay. All right. So, what are we doing now? Okay, we've done this arm, so we just need to add some pins to it. So add bones. Okay, and I'm going to reduce the size of these, so we'll put them down to 150. And I'll be here and paste these. Guys, I might have to go a little bit early today because I have a Scrum thing I need to do. Now, I don't know if you guys just noticed that I don't like the way the pins are named at the moment. So I usually go through and rename my pins, and I mindlessly didn't do that. You can just rename the controllers. That's fine too. I typically like to rename the actual pins. So this one I'm just going to call. I'm just going to double check. One way I've been trying to keep my naming convention is that I actually name the limb first. So this is arm right, and then I'll say wrist back or BCK. And then here would be arm right, wrist FRNT. This is just helpful if your puppets get really complicated. It makes it a little bit easier to predict or guess what you were trying to do. Sometimes shoulder BCK, because you might have a shoulder pin. Well, you're going to, if depending on how you do your rigs, you're going to have shoulder pins on your torso, and you may even have shoulder pins on other things too. Like if you have different costumes and stuff, like you may have a cape shoulder pin. Um, oh, okay. Oh, you can. Okay, you can rename pins afterwards. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, so you can edit the bones and not miss the pins connections. Okay. Well, I guess this is kind of meaningless. I do like how it does name, whatever. It just makes it a little bit easier for me. It's a little cleaner. All right, so and you're right, you can rename the bones. I feel though, like with all this stuff, the B, hand left fingers, like that stuff, it's a lot to edit. I find it's a little bit easier, at least so far. I'm just defending, I guess, my own approach at the moment. So let's add these bones there. I'll put them in there, great. And I'm just going to scale them down. I think I can only do. I'm pretty sure. Do you know Hero Studio? Is there a way to resize all of them without copying and pasting the color or copying and pasting the effect? Um, yeah. Okay, guys, I gotta go. Okay. All right, guys, I gotta check out, and sorry, I have to take off, and wrap up the stream, and I'll see you guys back here again at 1 o'clock. Um, 1 o'clock. I can't remember what time zone we're in at the moment. Eastern time, Eastern Daylight Time. And yeah. Anyway, sorry about that. People are knocking on the door, telling me I have a meeting I have to go to. So sorry about that. All right, guys. I'll see you guys later. Thank you for hanging out. I really appreciate it. And we'll follow up on this project probably the next time. We'll do this too. And hopefully it's interesting for you. So thank you very much. I'll talk to you guys later.